School nights, you are allowed a maximum of 40 minutes total to surf the internet or be on Facebook. What are the different amounts of time you can spend surfing or updating your status? Display your answer with the graph. Okay, so we're talking about two different things here. We're talking about being on the internet, or being on Facebook, which I know Facebook you need the internet, but we're surfing the internet or being on Facebook. So I'm going to represent surfing the internet with X and being on Facebook, Y. And again, you could use different variables. Okay, so the amount of time I spend on the internet and the amount of time I spend on Facebook total can be only a maximum of 40 minutes. So I can spend less time than 40 minutes. I can spend 40 minutes, but I can't spend any more. So we're going to look at this inequality right here. The amount of time I spend on internet plus the amount of time I spend on Facebook has to be less than or equal to 40 minutes. So again, if we wanted to graph this, I am going to, and I'm just going to highlight this as my original equation, I'm going to put it in slope-intercept form, and I'm going to subtract x from each side, because remember, we're actually going to graph y equals 40 plus a negative 1x, or if you like the x term first, negative 1x plus 40. Okay, so we're going to graph the equation. Now, if we're talking about internet and Facebook and time spent on those two things, it doesn't make sense for us to have any negative values. So if you look when I set up my graph here, I only used quadrant 1, okay? Because it doesn't make sense for us to have any negative time. So I remember I said my x-axis up is the internet, time spent on the internet, y-axis as Facebook. And I'm just going to make each line by, if you look here, my y-intercept is 40. I need to caution you when you go to graph this. I'm going to set up each grid line here as being 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Okay, and I can do the same thing over here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Now, here's why I'm going to caution you. If you wanted to take this as the y-intercept is 40, totally fine, and then you use your slope as a negative 1. Rise over run means you go down 1 over 1. You cannot just go like that, or down 1 over 1, because I didn't go over 1, and I didn't go down 1. Remember, this right here is 35, and this right here is 5, because I set my units up by 5s. So I actually went down 5 and over 5. Now, it's kind of hard in this case to kind of go down 1 over 1. You could do it, but if you're not exact, it's going to mess things up on this end. So in a problem like this, my advice to you is actually to do a quick input-output table. Okay, so you could do it from here. You could do it right from the very beginning. But if you don't do your units by ones, doing rise over run is kind of difficult. So let's just say I put in 0 for x. Okay, if I put 0 in for x, maybe I'll just use this up here. I get 0 plus y. And I'm going to say equals 40 because we're just worried right now about graphing the line. So y equals 40. That means I have the point 0, 40. So I can graph 0, 40. Oh, looky, we already have it there. Okay, I could pick another number here, but I'm just going to keep maybe with the idea of intercepts. And I'm going to put 0 in for y, and I'm going to get x plus 0 equals 40. Well, we know that means that x equals 40. Again, I'm just using instead of using an input-output table, I'm actually finding intercepts. So that gives us the point 40, 0. So we need 2 points to draw a line. Since it can be equal to, we know it's a solid line. And in this case, I'm not going to use arrows on both ends because, again, negative values don't make sense. Okay, so I have my line. Now remember, we need to test a point. We can test 0, 0. That's fine. If I were to put, let me give myself a new page here, x plus y is less than or equal to 40, and I'm testing the point 0, 0. Is 0 plus 0 less than or equal to 40? Yes, last time I checked, 0 is less than or equal to 40. So what that means is that since this point makes this inequality true, I'm going to shade underneath the line. And again, I'm kind of keeping it in, coloring inside the lines because negatives don't make sense. If it didn't make it true, then I would color, or I'd shade in all out here. Okay? So remember, our original equation here said, what are the different amounts of time you can spend surfing or updating your status to display your answer with a graph? Well, what this means here is this is giving me a bunch of different combinations. Actually, I could spend 0 time on the internet and 0 time on Facebook. I could spend 0 time on the internet and 20 minutes on Facebook. I could spend 20 minutes in the internet, 10 minutes on Facebook. See how everything that's shaded in counts? Right here, including our line here, because it's a solid line, I could spend 15 minutes on the internet and, well, 25 minutes on Facebook. But this graph represents all the possible combinations I could have of surfing the internet and being on Facebook. Everything that's shaded in or on the line.